What was I talking about? Oh. Welcome to JewelsKnits for Bamma. I'm Jules, and this is my podcast where I talk about all my knitting and crafting adventures. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're returning, thanks for coming back. Today I'm wearing my Shawlography, which is the 2021 Stephen West Mystery Knit Along. I just finished this, I think, last month, and this has been my best friend the last few days. We had a really nice warm spell, and it felt like spring, and we were all wearing t-shirts. And then the last few days, it's just been back to winter and cold and windy, and the wind chill is frigid, and I've just been wearing this nonstop. So I just love this, and I'm so happy I made this right now. Today I've got 3 FOs, a couple of acquisitions, some whips, and even a few things I wanted to talk about that I frogged. So it's going to be a little bit of a busy episode, so I thought we'd just hop right into it. I have 3 FOs today. 2 of them I have with me, and the third one was a gift, so I'll put that up in the corner when I talk about it, because I don't actually have it on my person. My first FO is this muscle burr hat that I made for my older daughter. I made this using Hypnotic Yarns, Devil in a Blue Dress colorway. Is this not the most fun colorway you guys have ever seen? I love it. I love it so much. I use the muscle burr pattern. I'm not sure if I said that already. I probably did. This is the muscle burr pattern. It's double thick, and I absolutely adore this pattern. I make almost all my hats in it. And it's just so much fun. And I love watching how all the colors knit up and how fast it goes. And it's just my go-to pattern. So the yarn label for that looks like this. Hypnotic Yarn is also the dyer of the Yarnable boxes. If you've never heard of the Yarnable boxes, check them out. They're really cool. It's a monthly yarn subscription box. Let's see if I can get this to focus. Maybe. I'm not sure. This is the Devil in a Blue Dress colorway. It's on her Helix fingering, and it's 100% superwash merino. And when I tell you that this is soft, guys, like, I cannot believe how soft this is. Like, oh, it's like a cloud. It is the best. I will definitely be buying more of this base when she has a shop update. Love it. So my second FO are these socks that I made for a family friend. Every time I make a sock, I generally just use the Crazy Sock Lady vanilla sock pattern on Magic Loop. I don't tend to do pattern socks just because I love my socks to be my on-the-go projects, and I have the pattern memorized, so I don't have to like bring my knit companion with me or any of that. I can just knit. So let me see if I can get this a little clearer. It's getting a little bit blown out here, but this main color is Malabrigo in the Chris colorway, and then the white is just a mini that I had in my stash. This is the label for that Malabrigo, and then it is the Chris colorway, or number 725. I'm sorry, guys, that I can't get this to focus. I still 4 episodes in. Maybe if I tap the screen. Have not. Nope. Okay. 4 episodes in, I still have not figured that out. So maybe someday I will. So my last FO, I'm going to put a picture right here, is the Flax Sweater by Tin Can Knits. My daughter's first grade teacher, so her teacher from last year, is having a baby boy, and I loved her so much. She was such a great teacher, and when I found out she was having a baby, I had to make her a baby gift. And so I kind of waffled back and forth for a couple weeks on what I wanted to do, and then this past week I kind of lost my knitting mojo, and I just like wasn't really feeling like knitting on anything I had. So I cast on the flax sweater, and I ended up knitting the whole thing in 24 hours. Those baby knits are so addicting. Like, they're my favorite thing to knit because they go so fast. It's like instant gratification. And my daughter was able to give it to her this morning, and she absolutely loved it. And as a lot of you know, like, when you give a gift that you've worked so hard on and someone loved it, it's just the best feeling in the world. And I know that that baby's gonna be nice and warm now. So the yarn I used is this Barocco Vintage. It's the navy blue colorway. I don't know what the actual colorway name of it is. 5187, I think. And this is an acrylic wool nylon blend. It was so soft, and I like to do washable yarns when I'm doing baby gifts, just because I've been there and I know how hard it is to have a newborn, and hand washing something that is just an extra thing on the list when you're exhausted. So I always do washable gifts for when I'm making baby knits, and this is one of my go-to yarns. So that was my last FO. I'm going to do things a little bit differently from now on. Instead of going into whips now, I'm going to do acquisitions first, just because generally I don't buy a whole lot of skeins just to have. I'm more of a knitter who likes to buy for what I'm going to be doing. So a lot of times I'll have acquisitions, but they're already whips by the time you guys see them. So I figured that if I show my acquisitions first, then you can see the yarn before you see the whip. I'm not sure if that really makes a difference to everyone, but it makes sense in my mind. So that's how I'm going to do it. So I will be right back with all of my acquisitions. Okay, so my first acquisition was so good, I could not even wait to cast it on. I literally got it in the mail and casted it on immediately. So I'm sorry, I don't have, I'm trying to see if oh, there it is. I don't have the skeined version of this, but this is what it looks like in the ball, and I'll try to pop a picture up here of what it looked like in the skein before I started. This is Granite State Yarns in the colorway Bumbleberry Swirl, and this is her logo. I love Lauren of Granite State Yarn. She's really nice. Her colors are always beautiful, and the speed at which she ships things, I don't even know how she has the time for it. I know I'm a little bit of an advantage because I'm in the same state as her, but like, I'm not even kidding you when I say that when I place an order, I've placed a couple orders from her, and every time it's been within hours that I've gotten a shipping notification. Like, she gets them out so fast, which is great for someone who's impatient like me. But again, this is her logo, and you should pop over and check her out if you haven't checked her out yet. I saw this because she shared it on her podcast, which I'll try to link below too. And I don't know how they get it to not blow out. But I saw this on her podcast, and I literally had to have it. Like, I stopped watching her podcast and went to buy it, and then finished watching her podcast because it was just the most beautiful skein. Like, this is honestly my favorite skein she's ever dyed. I just love it. And then while I was over there, I couldn't help myself but notice that if you spend a certain amount and you use a coupon code, you get free shipping. So naturally, I had to get a second skein to get the free shipping. So I ended up getting this, which I thought would be perfect for one of the men in my life for socks. Oh, I forgot to mention the base. Both of these are on the same base. They are 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. They're 4-ply fingering weight. This one is called Evergreen Glow. And it's just, I mean, like, it's gorgeous. Like, the greens in it and the speckles. And then it's got like these darker tones right here. I can't wait to see how this knits up. And again, she is so quick. You don't have to wait long at all. I love it. Okay, so my next two acquisitions I went down to Webb's with my friend last weekend, and a friend of mine, well, really a friend of my husband's from the hunting club that he's a part of, asked me to make him a sweater. And so I got some yarn to do that. It says DK, and I tried a DK sweater, but I just could not get the gauge because it's rather thick for a DK, I feel like. So I ended up going with a worsted sweater and was able to get gauge. I'm also making him the flax, but I'll talk about that in whips. But this is the first one. This is the Cascade Yarns Eco Merino DK. It's 100% merino wool, and it is not dyed. It is undyed. And let's see if I can get the label proper for you guys. That is the label. So I got it in this, and then I also got another undyed in this. But what really struck me about this, and I'm not sure if the camera will pick it up, but there's like little flecks of like this orangey red. Yeah, you can kind of see it like right here, and it's getting a little blown out. That's better, like right there. Ooh, there we go. I love this. It's so textured. It's so beautiful. So that is that. I also stopped at my local yarn store, and they have a huge selection of Malabrigo socks, so I couldn't help myself while I was there. I ended up getting this Malabrigo. It's the colorway, I think fuchsia? Yes, 093 fuchsia. It's so bright, like really as bright as it's showing on camera, it's that bright. It is gorgeous. I'm a little bit Malabrigo obsessed. I love Malabrigo. So I got that one, and then I also got this one because, guys, like this just reminded me of a galaxy. But then I thought about it, and I was like, these two together, we'll talk about it in whips. But again, this is Malabrigo sock. This galaxy colored one is, I'm not sure if I'm butchering this, but Fortaleza, I want to say, is the colorway. So that's all my acquisitions for this week, and let's move on to whips. My first whip are these socks that I'm making out of the Granite State Yarns Bumbleberry Swirl colorway that I talked about in my acquisitions. Like I said, I got this in the mail, had to cast it on immediately. It was beautiful. I knit the cuff all the way down to the heel flap in one sitting, couldn't put it down, put everything else aside and just knit on this. And then I got to the heel flap and I was like, don't feel like knitting a heel, and like put it down for a couple days. And then last night I picked it up and brought it with me to knit group. I wasn't really sure if I was going to knit on it because it was on, like I said, it was on the heel part, but I ended up being able to do it, and I knit through the heel flap and the heel turn and got through the gusset, and now I'm on the foot. So this is going to fly now, and I know I've gushed over this, but like, I really wish I knew how to make the camera show how beautiful it is. It must be a lighting thing. Maybe I should watch some YouTube videos on how to do lighting, but in any case, gorgeous. Love it. Can't wait to have them done and on my feet. So my second whip is one that I don't think you guys have seen since the first episode, I want to say. I don't always show all my whips just because then it would be kind of like boring for you to see a bunch of whips that I haven't necessarily worked on. So I normally only show the ones I've actually done some work on. But here, let's see if I can get it to uncurl. Here it is my sea glass sweater that I'm making. The last time I showed it to you guys, I was in this little orange bit, and since like right after the sleeve split, I think. So since then I've gotten about, I want to say 4 inches onto it. I'm just using my sock scraps for this. I brought it to Knit Night because I wasn't really in an easy place with any of my patterns projects, except for the sock, but I wasn't really sure if I was going to want to knit a heel while I was at knit group, and I knew that this would just be easy because it's just knitting around. I mean, it is 1x1 color work, but it doesn't take that much concentration for me. But the other thing is that my mother-in-law was at knit group, so I was able to try it on her, and it fit perfectly. I'm going to put a picture up here. I was a little bit worried about the fit just because I didn't gauge swatch, because I don't generally gauge swatch unless I'm testing for someone. I'm too impatient and I just want to start knitting, and I don't want to waste the time gauge swatching, and it's burned me a couple times, but it doesn't really bother me too much when it does because I just like to knit. I'm definitely a process knitter. That's why I knit a lot of gifts for people. I don't really, you know, knit for the product. I just kind of knit because I like to knit. So if I have to rip it out and start over, totally cool. But I'm using fingering weight yarn for this instead of DK, which it's written for. So what I did was I went up a size, and then I went up a couple needle sizes and hoped that it worked, and it's fitting perfectly. So I'm so excited. I thought about doing what Kay of the Crazy Sock Lady was doing, which is she's taking all her fingering weight scraps and holding them double. But then I thought about the amount of times you change colors in this sweater. Like, each one of these is a color change. And the amount of times you do that, and then times it by 2 because you're holding fingering weight double. Weaving an end is not fun to me. So I just figured I'd try it, and I'm glad that it's working out. And now I'm even more motivated to get this done so she can have it. I think it would be a great spring sweater because it is fingering weight. So it's not going to be super, like, it'll be warm because it's wool, but I think it'll be nice for like spring nights, and, you know, something where you don't, like in the winter, you need like heavy coats and stuff, but I think this will be nice to like keep you warm in the spring. So I'm super motivated to get this done. Maybe by the next time I podcast, I'll be done with the body. Maybe not. I don't know. We'll see, but I'm going to try. My third whip isn't really much to look at right now. It's just the very beginnings. Oh, if I could get it. See if I can get it right. Okay, there we go. The very beginnings of a flax sweater. I'm using that Cascade yarn that I showed in acquisitions to do it. Oh my God, like the stitches are so, this yarn, I can't even, it's so beautiful. I love it. I'm making this for my husband's friend from the hunting club that he is a part of. He really likes woolly sweaters, and he asked me to make one, and I finally feel like I have the brain space to do so. So I am getting that started, and I don't know if I already said or not, this is the Flax by Tin Can Knits. I just thought because it's not for someone who I see every day, who I could try it on whenever, doing the flax sweater would probably be the best idea, just because, you know, it's something I've done a million times before, so I can kind of tell when things aren't going right because I know the pattern so well. But that is that. So my last whip that I have to show you guys today is going to be a little bit tricky to show because I didn't have a long enough cord needle in the size I needed, so it's kind of bunched up on the needle. But I think I hinted to in the beginning that I kind of lost my knitting mojo this week. What happened was I tried, from the last episode, I made the blizzard sweater for my husband, and I had the whole body done almost, and since then I knit the rest of the body, knit an entire sleeve, knit half of the next sleeve, and tried it on him just to make sure, and it was too tight on the underarms, and it was like too bunchy here. Definitely a case of like swatching, not swatching. It burnt me. I tried using, you know, the wrong weight yarn with different needles and didn't get the right gauge, but I was like, it'll be all right, just how I am, and it burnt me. So then I was kind of bummed, and I tried a couple different sweaters and ripped them out, and I just wasn't finding anything that I really liked for him. And then he mentioned that he really, really wanted the Unbearable sweater by, I'm not sure if it's Le Garçon or Max the Knitter. I'm not sure if it's like the both of them or if it's just a Max the Knitter pattern, but it's got like the little bears all along the bottom. Well, he mentioned he really wanted that. So I decided to just put that yarn aside. And when I get to it, I'll get the yarn for that sweater and make him that. But because of that, I kind of got a little burnt out and lost my mojo, and I ended up knitting the flax sweater. But sometimes when I get burnt out, I just want something new and shiny, right? So I made the shawlography. I made the slip extravaganza last year, and I watched the We Share Needles podcast with Maddie and Kristen, and Kristen had posted on her Instagram story the picture of her Starflake by Stephen West, which I think was I want to say 2019 Mystery Knit Along, maybe the 2018, I'm not really sure. But I just thought it was so beautiful, and I was like, that is what I want to get me back into knitting. Now, I know most people are like, oh, cast on a pair of socks, or, you know, whatever, just to keep knitting and keep going. But I think sometimes for me, it's like I just want something different and new and shiny, and something that's going to challenge me. And boy, did I get my knitting mojo back, because I'm already on section 3 of it. So I used those Malabrigo colors that I showed in the beginning, and section 1 was these little parallelograms. So you knit those, and then you did the chevrons, and I just made it to the brioche this morning, so I did a little bit of baby brioche. I love the way the colors look together. They're a little bit wild for me. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this for me or as a gift for someone. Normally when I start knitting something, I kind of have a general idea of who it's for. But I just saw the colors and was really inspired by it, and didn't really have, trying to like make it so you guys can see better. And I didn't really have anyone in specific in mind. I just knew I wanted it. So, that's what I did. And then it was funny because last night I was wearing my shawlography, and my daughter asked me to make her a shawl, and I happen to have this one on the needles, which I think she would absolutely love these colors. I'm just not sure about giving, I mean, Malabrigo is cheaper than other yarns, but it's still pretty expensive, and this is a 4 skein fingering weight shawl. And I'm not sure about giving something to her that was that much of a cost point as an 8-year-old. So I'm not sure, maybe I'll just, I don't know. What do you guys think? Like, am I just being weird and I should just give it to her because she wants a shawl and she hasn't seen this one yet, but I know she would love the colors? Or should I keep it for myself, or should I give it as a gift, or should I just hold on to it and maybe give it to her when she's a little bit older? I'm not sure. I'm not sure where that's going. But I haven't gotten a lot of progress on any of my other whips this week because I've basically just been doing this like nonstop. I haven't been able to put it down. So that's all my whips, and now I'm going to talk about spreading the fiber love and also just general life stuff. So if you don't want to stick around, that's fine. Bye. Thanks for coming. And if you do, that's awesome, and I will be right back. So for this week's Spreading the Fiber Love, I just wanted to do fiber love and life stuff all in kind of like the same, because one leads into the other. So for Spreading the Fiber Love, I want to give a shout out to my friend Corinne. Hi, Corinne. I'll put her Instagram handle down here if you guys want to go check out her Instagram and see what she's been up to with knitting. Just a little backstory. Corinne and I have been friends since we were kids. We were friends in like kindergarten, first grade, and then I moved to a different school and we kind of lost contact. And then last year we found each other on Instagram, and I reached out and I was like, hey, do you want to get a margarita sometime or something? And so we did, and we've kind of just been getting margaritas and knitting every other week, every couple weeks ever since. It's kind of our thing, and it's just been so special to me to build that relationship with her and to have someone in my life who is just as crazy about knitting and knitting podcasts and fiber arts and Rhinebeck and all the knitty things, just as crazy as I am about all that. It's something that since my Bamma passed, like I've really kind of been lacking in my life, like that space to have that sort of crafty connection, and doing our little knit nights with the two of us has just been so great, and I love it. I look forward to it every week, and Corinne is really awesome, and I'm just so glad that we were able to reconnect. So that is my spreading the fiber love, and love to you, Corinne. But that kind of leads into where I'm going to talk about my life stuff, because over margaritas one night, me and Corinne just kind of had this idea that, you know, I don't know if it was the margaritas talking or what, that we would kind of start a knitting group in our area. And we weren't really sure, like, if there was a lot of fiber artists in our area. I honestly didn't really know. But we just kind of posted it on Facebook, like on the local Facebook page and on the Nextdoor app. Just said, hey, this time, this date, we're going to be at Modest Man Brewing, which is a local brewery to us. And we're going to be knitting, and if anyone wants to join, come have a brew. Let's do it. And so we had that last night, and it was so much fun to do something like that with her. And we were sitting there worrying about, you know, like if anyone's going to come or what. Guys, so many people showed up. I was blown away. Like, I think we had like 11, not including Corinne and I, that came. Like, I didn't even know there was that many fiber artists in this area. It was so amazing. It was so great to just get all these artists together and just do something fun. It was a Monday night, so the brewery was kind of slow. So we basically had like one whole half of the brewery to ourselves. We were able to like push tables together and just knit and have a good time, have a brew and get to know each other. And it was such a hit. We already have our next one scheduled. It was just awesome. So that's really the only thing I've done in the past 2 weeks. You know, normal life stuff, work, school for the kids, all that fun stuff. But last night was really like the highlight of my last 2 weeks. Oh, that's not the only thing I did. The other thing that I did was I booked my Airbnb for Rhinebeck this year. So I'm so excited. I'm officially going. My husband's going to go with me. My friend Corinne's going to go with me. We're trying to convince my other friend to go, but I don't know. We'll see. It depends on when her husband's racing season ends. And it's just going to be so much fun. So I was super excited to do that too. And it was kind of a funny story because I booked it, but this is the first time I've ever booked an Airbnb. And normally we just kind of stay in hotels, but it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, so there's not a lot of hotels that are super close to choose from. And I found this Airbnb, and it just looked like the cutest little place, and it's our own little apartment, and it's in the woods, and I just thought it would be great. But when you book an Airbnb, they give you like a little section where you can write to the host. And so I just sent her a message like, hey, I'm trying to reserve this for Rhinebeck. I've never done an Airbnb before. I hope that I'm doing this right or something. And she sent me a message back. She's like, you're doing it right. Rhinebeck's like 20 minutes from here. And I'm so excited to have another knitter staying here because I'm also a knitter and I also go to Rhinebeck. So I thought, like, what are the odds? That is so cool. Like, I'm doing an Airbnb from another knitter, which I thought was super fun. So yeah, that was the other exciting thing I did in the last 2 weeks. So anyways, you know, it's kind of that time of year where the weather's weird and it's you don't really want to be outside because it's a little cold, but you don't really want to be stuck inside because it's a lot warmer than it was. And I just can't wait for it to really actually start to get like consistently like over 50 degrees and t-shirt weather, and we can go outside and do fun things with the girls, maybe start hiking a little bit and doing some outdoorsy things. One of my favorite things to do is to climb and take my knitting with me and get pictures of myself knitting on top of the mountains. And I'm so excited. I love winter. I'm totally a winter girl, but even though I love winter, I do get excited when it starts to get warm out again. And then I get not so excited when it's like 80-degree days. But we won't talk about that because that's not here yet. So yeah, that's really all I have to say today. And I hope that you all are having a great day and I have an awesome next 2 weeks. And I will be back in 2 weeks to talk more about my knitting and my knitting fun. And until then, bye!